So this is the topic of my presentation today. Uh, now, as Uday mentioned, I teach English in Birpara College. It's a neighboring college to Banarhat, and so in that sense, I am a trespasser in the discipline of history. So this is not just history from the margins, but it's history by an interloper, if you will. Uh, Now, I don't know about all the participants here, but I remembered history as a very boring discipline in school. And I was one of those people who was very happy after my class 10 exams that I won't have to study history again. Uh, why was it boring? Because it seemed, I mean, it was much later that I came to know that a historian, E.H. Carr, had said that history is a continuous dialogue between the present and the past. But the history that we learned in school was nothing like a dialogue. It was more like a monologue, which you had to sort of just learn by rote learning. Um, it sort of history was given as a story which had been vetted and found to be correct, and all we needed to do was remember the dates and the events and the people. So that took out the element of interpretation, one, because if we think of history as a dialogue, then we realize the importance of interpretation. And two, I realized later, which is why I became interested in history later in life, was that all the elements of the story were not known to us. Uh, there were many unexplored stories from the past. Um, so I'm going to talk about hockey and among the Munda people primarily, and the tribal population in Chotanagpur. So I begin my story with Jaipal Singh, also known as Jaipal Singh Munda, and we know him as a politician, of course, and the sort of main driving force behind the dream of a separate state of Jharkhand, which is, of course, today a reality. Uh, I'm looking at Jaipal Singh in his youth, and because this is actually a quiz question. Those who are quiz masters and avid quizzers would know that when you are asked who was the first captain of the All India uh, Olympic hockey team that won gold in Amsterdam in 1928, the answer is Jaipal Singh. And here we have a photograph of Jaipal Singh to the left of my screen. That's taken sometime in that was taken sometime in the 1920s. It was I found it in a magazine on hockey. And on your right, on the right of the screen is a photograph of the All India hockey team before the first match that they played in the Olympic Games. And if you see clearly, I mean, sorry, if you see closely, you will see that Jaipal Singh is actually not in that group photograph. Um, I'll come to that in a while, but the sort of why do I call Jaipal Singh the accidental captain? Because there were certain sort of exceptional circumstances under which Jaipal Singh was made the captain. The decision was taken by two army men, one a colonel and another, I think, a major, uh, who decided that Jaipal Singh, who was studying in England and playing hockey and making a name for himself, he would become the captain of the All India team, which was selected after a trial in Calcutta. So in Calcutta, the vice captain was designated. It was a Scotsman, Anglo-Indian called Eric Pinniger. But the captain was going to be Jaipal Singh, who was already in England. And the team stopped over at England before going over to Amsterdam. Um, now, but the historical accident that I'm talking about is goes beyond that. It is also about how Jaipal Singh actually ended up in England, and how did he actually sort of start making a name for himself in hockey in England, to begin with at Oxford and later in London. Um, Jaipal Singh actually played only 2 matches in the 1928 Amsterdam Olympics. Play in the final, so a total of 6 matches. And the first match was also one that he missed. And in his absence, it was this man, if it is visible to you, the one who is marked out in the group photograph, Broom Eric Pinniger, who captained India to their Olympic gold. I think it was 23rd of May or 25th of May. I'm not entirely sure of the date right now. Um, so these are some of the questions that I'm asking and I'm trying to answer in this presentation. Uh, was Jaipal Singh simply an exceptional sort of individual who captained India for the Olympics? Were there larger historical forces that made him what he was? That actually sort of uh, I mean, that shaped his career and his life. Um, Again, I mean, because we've established that this is what history is about, that you pick out individual moments and events in history, look at the actors and their actions, if possible, their thoughts, and the consequences of that, and try to plot it in a larger historical context, and look at the bigger picture in that sense. And the last question, because we are talking about hockey, some people might ask, what is the point of all this? Because at the end of the day, we are not talking about very significant historical events. We are only talking about a game, uh, which is why historians have sort of over the years traditionally ignored ignored the history of sports, because they have not thought of it as something worthy of serious research. At the end of the day, the field of play is not the factory floor or the streets where the real fight takes place. So these are just some of the questions I would like the participants to keep in mind as we go and try and search for sort of deeper aspects of Jaipal Singh's story. Um, when I started my research on Indian hockey, and I was looking at the role of the Anglo-Indian community in Indian hockey, so I just I had very little information about Jaipal Singh. I knew that he was born as Pramod Pahan, and only later that he was named Jaipal Singh. In his autobiography, Jaipal Singh says he does not remember how he acquired this name. There were a few other names that came up. Canon Cosgrave, who was the principal of the school where Jaipal Singh studied, and he was the one who later took him to England. Uh, so, in many ways, Canon Cosgrave gave shape to the identity of Jaipal Singh as we know him. Uh, and right from baptizing him to probably giving him his name, um, deciding that his date of birth would be 3rd of January because that was the day when Jaipal Singh went to school, uh, first enrolled in school, and taking him to England, where he, of course, paving the way for him to go into university, study for ICS, uh, start playing hockey, uh, or at least make a big name for himself in English hockey circles, go to the Olympics, and later, as we all know, or we should, how he became a member of the Constituent Assembly, later a member of the Parliament, and fought. I mean, he's probably one of the leading figures who fought for the rights of the indigenous people of India. And we also came to know about the school where he had studied, Jaipal Singh, which was St. Paul's. And so these were the sort of basic sort of further because my interest lay in the Anglo-Indians. And as we have seen that in the Olympic Games, at least in Amsterdam, Jaipal Singh did not play a very important role because most of the time the team was without him. And there was also apparently a fight uh, about the captaincy of the team. Uh, some people have thought of it as a conflict between the native Indians, who were very few in the team, Jaipal Singh being one, and the Anglo Indians, who were the majority. Dhyan Chand, who was a witness, who was a participant in this in this historical event, he also says that it is possible that the conflict was between the civilians and the army. Jaipal Singh was the army's pick for the captaincy. The civilians had been designated as vice captain. Um, it was much later that the thought occurred to me that where exactly did Jaipal Singh learn his hockey? Was it only when he reached England, which was in 1918, so he would have been around 15 years of age, or was it even before that in school in Ranchi, or maybe even before that when he was in his village, uh, which is in the I'll just look at the name of the village. Uh, the hamlet of Pahantoli in Takra village in Khuti, near Ranchi. Uh, when I was searching for the history of the or rather the stories about when did hockey begin in India, when was hockey first played in India? Uh, One of the dates which are often given is 1885, that the first hockey clubs were apparently established in Calcutta, but we don't have any corroborative evidence for that. And which led me to think about 1895, which was when the Baton Cup started in India, in Calcutta, the oldest running hockey tournament probably in the world. Uh, and that's when I was looking at old newspapers at the National Library, and that's when I came across the first native Indian team, uh, the at least the first which is recorded so far, uh, because the one question that is sort of intertwined with the question of when did hockey start in India is when did Indians start playing hockey? Because like a lot of these uh, sports imported from UK, it was initially the white, the Englishmen and the Britishers who would be playing the games across the world, and later they would be adopted by the native population. So in 1895, we are talking about the first edition of the Baton Cup, which was primarily the initiative of an Anglican priest who taught in the in London Jesus, who was the rector there, J.L. Peach. He was part of the Oxford mission to India. Uh, and in that particular tournament, a late entrant was this team from the Ranchi mission from Chota Nagpur, and they played one match because it was a knockout tournament. They lost their first match, and the Statesman report, which was published on May 15, so the match was played a day before. It noted that except for the captain, the Reverend E.H. Whitley, the Ranchi team is composed of native Christians, all of whom played without shoes or guards. As the yeah, I'm just reading it out in case some people can't see the screen clearly. So we see that we see evidence of a hockey team from Chota Nagpur playing in an important hockey tournament right at the start of this history that we are talking about. Um, so now, I had a little more information, but still the dots on the matrix were not sort of connected to each other. Uh, so you dig a little more. That's what historians do, right? And you try and figure out the connections between the various individuals and institutions that you come across. And because I'm not a trained historian and probably a bad historian to boot, it took me an enormous amount of time to actually connect the dots. And when finally I did, I came up with something which is similar to this, where more and more names were sort of populating the sort of mosaic that I was creating, and I could then make the connections. Uh, I hope that this screen is visible to everyone. Is it visible? I'm just
Yes,
asking the
yes.
organizers once.
It is visible.
It is visible.
Is my screen
Visible, sir.
visible?
Very
Visible.
much
It is
Yeah.
visible.
visible.
It is visible.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So you can see that St. Paul's Ranchi and its connection with Canon Cosgrave was, of course, clear from the beginning. We had that name of Reverend E.H. Whitley from the team that played the team from Chota Nagpur that played in the Baton Cup in 1895. And then we realized that Reverend E.H. Whitley and Canon Cosgrave were both working shoulder to shoulder in the SPG mission's work in Chota Nagpur. Reverend E.H. Whitley's father, in fact, was the first bishop of Chota Nagpur, and he became the bishop of Chota Nagpur in 1904 when his nephew became the uh, Bishop Westcott. He became the Bishop of Chota Nagpur. So when we are talking about Jaipal Singh and his time, by then the bishop had changed, but Reverend E.H. Whitley was still working. And the SPG mission, which is the full form of SPG, is the Society for the Propagation of the Gospel in Foreign Parts. That is a missionary initiative of the Church of England, the Anglican Church. And St. Paul's was, in fact, the central school of the SPG mission in Chota Nagpur. So now you realize, or rather now at this point, I realized that Jaipal Singh, while of course an exceptional individual, not only as a hockey player, but as he later proved as a leader of men, uh, he it's not as if he learned his hockey in isolation or without there being a fertile ground on which his dreams could sort of start. Uh, because hockey was clearly being played in Chota Nagpur as part of the Christian missionary uh, work, particularly with education, from at least 5 years before the 20th century started. And even in 1895, as I said, it most of the rules. And Jaipal Singh was, I think it was in 1911 that he was enrolled in St. Paul's, according to his autobiography. Canon Cosgrave, who was an honorary canon from Durham in England, he was obviously already there as a principal. Reverend E.H. Whitley was working with the SPG mission, probably still playing hockey, and this was the sort of context of Jaipal Singh's first forays into the game of hockey. Um, Later, I came across this book, and later, as in very recently, in fact, Sharath Chandra Rai's book, The Mundas and Their Country, published in 1912, but it was serialized in 1910 in the journal The Modern Review. Uh, and there I came across this photograph. Uh, this is the oldest photograph known to me of a hockey team from the SPG mission. Because something I forgot to tell you before is that while the Ranchi mission team lost their first match in 1895 and thus were thus sort of their journey in the Baton Cup ended for that year, they became a force to be reckoned with in the following subsequent years. And starting from 1896, I think in the next teams, uh, the Bengal Hockey Association had on their centenary year in 2008, they had come up with a souvenir which recorded all the winners from the first edition of the tournament. And if you ever come across that list, I unfortunately don't have it with me right now. You will see that the first few years, the name SPG Mission would come up as the winners again and again. So these teams from the Chota Nagpur mission, comprising Reverend E.H. Whitley as the captain, but the rest being native Christians, were actually playing hockey at the highest level because the Baton Cup was already coming up as a blue ribbon tournament. Calcutta had a very strong hockey circle, and competing against all whites teams, I mean, mostly comprising domiciled Europeans and Anglo Indians, teams like Calcutta Football Club, schools like St. James and La Martiniere, uh, other clubs like Naval Volunteers Club, which later became the Calcutta Rangers Club. Uh, Playing against these teams, it was primarily a civilian tournament. The SPG mission from Ranchi held its own very well. Now, the photograph is not dated in Sharath Chandra Rai's book, but he used this photograph in the published book, which was published as it says in 1912, and also in the article that he published in the Modern Review in 1910. So I'm assuming that this was from a date before 1910. And you can see that they have the Baton Cup with them. So this is a Baton Cup winning team. So it could be on any of the preceding years when the Ranchi mission won the tournament. Uh, so this basically was the environment in which Jaipal Singh entered when he became when his father enrolled him in St. Paul's, Ranchi in 1911. And in all probability, Reverend E.H. Whitley was perhaps still playing, uh, and there was a strong hockey culture in Ranchi. In uh, in Chotanagpur. There is also this photograph of a Kol Christian village hockey team. As we know that when we talk about the Mundas, it's an umbrella term, sort of covering a number of tribes. The Kols are another tribe, and there is this very interesting photograph of a Kol Christian village hockey team wearing dhotis, and one actually has also got a sort of wraparound covering his upper body, and all with hockey sticks, right? And further, when I looked at again, just as an example, uh, John Hoffman, another sort of clergyman who published the Encyclopedia Mundarica in 1930. It has it is in the form of a dictionary, and it had these words called bull or bulao in the Mundari language, which is simply the taken from the English word bully off in hockey, because in hockey, uh, I mean, this was in earlier times. Hockey was started with a bully off, where two opponent players sort of stood over the ball. You had to tap each other's sticks 3 times and then see who gets the ball. So bully off is a very technical term, English term related to hockey, field hockey, which was incorporated in the Munda language. Uh, and just as an example of how hockey was widespread in Chotanagpur. Now I'll just go back a slide. I've sort of slightly mischievously used the title "Propagation of the Gospel and Games," uh, because Christian missionary efforts in India and other parts of the British colonial empire uh, always carried with it the games as well. We know how right from the 19th century, the British education system put a lot of emphasis on games as primarily as character building uh, activities, but I also suspect that because Englishmen took a great deal of pleasure from practicing these games. And Christianization in many parts of the world uh, was strongly based on also on introducing education. And so, because education and games went hand in hand, so this was the reason why the Mundas started playing hockey, and not just the Mundas, the tribal people of Chota Nagpur started playing hockey from, as I said, the turn of the 20th century. Uh, so this I'm sort of giving this as an example of how historians, or even let us say an amateur historian like me, tries to build a narrative. First, I mean, you have to establish moments which are not told otherwise. These are the moments and events in history which are sort of glossed over. And even though we had this opening or a point of departure in the career of Jaipal Singh, because his later career was so charismatic, and because he obviously did things which were far more important than winning the hockey gold in the Olympics, uh, that part of his career has been glossed over in most histories, uh, thereby missing some of some very interesting stories. Uh, but I also made a point at the beginning of the presentation that it's not just description of events or identifying the events, but it is also about interpretation. And this is where we have to then ask ourselves of hockey being played widely in Chota Nagpur from the 1890s. Uh, and one of the answers would be that without colonialism and the efforts of the Christian missionaries, there would have been no hockey in Chota Nagpur, uh, in all probability, or at least not hockey played this widely and at this level of with this level of skill. Uh, how do we interpret it? Now, I mean, I obviously would not like to say that colonialism and colonization and Christianization were good things, because I do not intend to get lynched in academia or outside academia. Change in society brought about by these sort of historical forces made it possible for various people, gave people very gave different people uh, different opportunities. So if we just think of hockey as a coda for this kind of opportunity, then we can realize that it was only the changed social structures brought about by the expansion of the colony and by the efforts of the Christian missionaries, that the tribal people of Chota Nagpur were given this opportunity to sort of be on the same playing field as other citizens of the uh, of the uh, of the subcontinent. And Jaipal Singh remains an exceptional figure because he sort of took these opportunities and utilized them in a way that few could have imagined. And of course, because he's an exceptional figure, so he was also in that sense an outlier. I mean, there were not too many people who could have followed him, followed in his footsteps and achieved what he did. Uh, but we also have to remember that the sort of ground on which his dreams sort of took root uh, involved a lot of other people. And those people included clergymen like Canon Cosgrave, probably Reverend E.H. Whitley, and his brethren, but also the tribal people of Chota Nagpur. With this, I would like to end my presentation.